Hey, it's pouring here, and it's a slow ride. So I want to talk about what is it called? Calling the police. And curious if you would call the police if there's some kind of problem, like any kind of problem that the cops are normally called for. So I'll start this. Let me get rid of that. I'll start this out with a little anecdote. Um, I okay, so about 10 or so years ago, maybe 12, I don't know. It's been a weird life. Um, I was with my buddy AJ. I can say his name because he's not around anymore. But we were driving down the road, and this guy that didn't like me named Matt. Oh man, what did he do? He pulled right in front of my car, kind of at an angle. We were at a stoplight, and so he cut me off, so I couldn't go anywhere. So he thought, and my back window was down presumably because I was smoking something, and he reached through it, and he had a broken arm. I don't know why, but he did. And he put his arm around my neck and started choking me with his cast. And AJ didn't really do anything. He was in shock and kind of a coward. No, I'm sorry, he wasn't a coward. He was just probably stoned. But anyway, so adrenaline kicks in, and my survival instincts do as well, and I hit the gas, and I move his car out of the way with mine. And so I kept going through my hometown, and it's a kind of a small town. It has a lot of churches. And Matt starts chasing me in his car. It's one of those Audi hatchbacks. And he's chasing me with it. Now it's an Audi hatchback with a big dent in it. And so he's chasing me, and finally I'm good at using a car. I lost him, and I pulled into a church. I called the cops. And the cops got there, and instead of helping, they asked what happened, and instead of helping, they searched my car, and they found BB guns, which are legal, by the way. I was of a legal age to own them. And they arrested me and AJ. There's no reason to arrest us. And Matt didn't get arrested. That's the crazy thing. The guy who literally tried to murder me did not even get arrested for it. I was just blown away. So we went to the police station, bonded out. And that was that. But what? I just don't get it. The cops aren't there to help you. They're there to make an arrest. And if you are the easiest one to arrest, they are the real cowards. They will just arrest you. They are lazy, they are jaded, and most of them are psychopaths. I mean, let's just think of the kind of person who's attracted to a job like that. They don't go to protect and serve, most of them. And those that do are usually veterans with PTSD. So, I mean, it's 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other. Either way, you've got a very dangerous police force out there. And they don't help you. I mean, sure, they might come after the fact if you call them and take a report, like I just heard Brian Young from High Impact, what's his new thing? Here's the Deal say. They'll take your report, but I'll be damned if I've ever seen a cop actually stop a crime. Who do they protect? They don't protect anybody. I'd even argue that any justice served by them is a side effect. It's a symptom of their job. It isn't their job. So, that's the problem. What's the solution? I'd say first solution is to remove immunity, qualified immunity. Second thing to do is make it a volunteer position. Sure, you'll have far fewer cops, but is that really a bad thing? Sometimes I think it's almost better to just let things iron themselves out. And let's talk about it in another year when people have used their rights to their full advantage. I think that's where we're headed anyway. Speaking of heading that direction, if you think for a second that the police will be on your side if something goes down, they won't be. They'll be taking orders, and they'll be taking orders to take you into custody. They'll call it protective custody, and you won't be given the opportunity, to really fend for yourself, which is what we should be able to do. But yeah, they won't be on your side. So don't count on their help. They're not on your side. I think the fact that there's a thin blue line that spells it out. How much more clear do you need it to be? There's a line that they have drawn between us and them. And they won't cross it. We, to them, are different. And it's not because they see us as an authority. They are, in their own eyes, the law. They are the law. What they say becomes law. And that's a really dangerous mindset to have, and it's a psychopath's mindset. And if you think that's by chance, you got another thing coming, man. Do you think these people are hired by accident? Do you think that this far down the line, the people that do the hiring haven't put two and two together to realize, hey, if we hire this type of person, he ends up doing this really bad thing to people, be it on the job or at home? Do you think they haven't realized that? They know it. That's why they get hired. They're stupid. They're hired. They're hired to be dumb, and they're hired to be violent. They're pit bulls, and they do their master's bidding with no questions asked, and they take pleasure in it. I've heard Brian Young say that, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, that order followers are the most dangerous people that could exist. And I agree, because the second you begin to follow orders, you shut off your critical thought, you shut off your conscience, because how can you follow orders blindly if you're given an unconscionable order to follow and your conscience is still intact? So you shut those off, you shut off basically just your humanity. I'd rather a RoboCop. A RoboCop was less robotic and less violent than the human cops today. And they don't respect your rights either. I'm not even sure that they know your rights. I think they've been brainwashed into thinking that they give you your rights. And that ain't the case. You know that. I know that. And I bet you when they're off the clock, they know that too. I've been messed with way too much in my life. And now I just really don't give a single shit. I don't care anymore. They can do whatever they want. I'm going to keep doing whatever I want. I know that I live my life by my own conscience, and I know that it's healthier. It has healthier boundaries for me than the laws that these politicians have set. So I'm okay with it. So Kansas. I'll never go to Kansas again. Never, ever. Here's another story. And strangely enough, the other person involved in this story is also no longer around. R.I.P. Tanya. Miss you. I used to do a lot of drugs, so a lot of my friends have overdosed. Although, she died, and that's what got me clean and kept me clean, and then my children were born, and then I'll never turn back to that again. But anyway, we were in Kansas coming back from California on the way to Chicago. And it was a really long ride, and we were both really strung out from some legal substances that they used to sell in head shops. It had been a long, strange trip. And so we got to Kansas and found some cow pastures. And we were really stupid. We shouldn't have gotten out and walked in the cow fields, but, So anyway, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were just talking to cows, man. And so anyway, we start walking back to the car, and we see cops walking up. And they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" Okay. "Hey, we got a report of a couple fighting in a field." We weren't fighting, we were holding hands. So, first lie. And I was naive and I was naive. And so they questioned us for a while, and they're like, "Oh, well, okay, we're satisfied that everything's okay," which I thought was really strange. I was for sure we were going to jail. Spoiler alert, we didn't. Here's the thing. I was not the good guy in this situation either. There was no good guy, okay? The cops weren't good either. And, so Tanya had slammed a beer outside the car, and she put it was either outside or in, but we were stopped. She put it in the car, so we didn't litter, so we didn't break the law, technically. I mean, whatever. And so they said, "You're free to go." And I got in the car, and I started driving away. And whoop, sirens went on right behind me. Like, fuck, what now, man? So these guys waited for me to drive away so that they could then pull me over legally for an open container to search my vehicle. Just to ruin my day. I mean, we weren't acting wrong. I wasn't driving when they saw me, and when I wasn't driving poorly. I was just trying to go home. And so often that is the story that I hear from people that are victimized by cops, far more than I was in that situation. I was just trying to go home. Guys, these cops are the criminals that your parents told you to watch out for when they said don't go out at night alone. Those cops do the same exact things to we the people that your parents thought gangbangers were going to do to you. I think we all really need to take stock of where we're at and ask ourselves in a very heavy manner, how much more can we handle? There's a trend, and it's not like it's remained stagnant or static. This trend is ever increasing tyranny, more restrictive laws, more violent policing, and more innocent victims. I mean, I think it's really high time that we all accept that there's a foreign standing army in our country and stop complying. I mean, we all have to stop complying en masse. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen. 20 years from now, when my kids are grown up, what is their world going to look like? So, what's the solution? Besides constructive non-compliance, we'll call it. Like I said, remove the qualified immunity, make it a volunteer position, and require that the officers, the volunteer officers, only have their own neighborhoods at a jurisdiction. I used to see those signs, Neighborhood Watch, and I used to think, oh, that's cool, you know, they got neighbors for cops instead of normal cops. That ain't the case, though, man. They just call the cops and they're Karens. So I think we need to kind of revamp that idea. But it ain't gonna work like this. And that leads to a larger topic. We keep spreading out our community. And I don't think it's doing us any good. I think we need to get back to much smaller communities. You know, all of these lefties are arguing in favor of socialism. Here's the problem. On a mass scale, like the 338 million allegedly people that live in the United States right now, that can never work. But you go start yourself a nice little town, and you can probably make that work with 50 people. You know, you all got the same goals, the same ideals. You can probably make some kind of socialism work very, very well. But these lefties expect it to be done on such a mass scale. And they use Scandinavian companies as examples with populations like 5% that of the United States. It's not an adequate comparison. Not at all. Why did I start talking about socialism? Oh yeah, so this larger overarching topic is that we really need to get back to, so right now there's a hierarchy, and it needs to be inverted so that I don't like that image. We need most of the control to be in the smallest unit possible. So, personal control, basically sovereignty, is paramount. And then beyond that, you have your direct neighborhood. And then beyond that, you have your municipality, and so on and so on. But right now, the highest form of government, the federal government, has the most control. And they have, they've hired your police to do their bidding, to collect their taxes. And that needs to be inverted. We, the people, need to be the strongest. And we are, because we are like mycelium to their mushroom. We are that which feeds them. Without the mycelium, they don't have anything. And like, if we all just stopped working for them and working against our own interests, what recourse would they have? Luckily, the lefties haven't gotten us to give up our UNS yet. Because that would be bad. There's something else I wanted to bring up. Yeah, maybe I'll just call it a day. Have a great day. It's rainy.